Good evening, everyone. Welcome to JJN. I'm Claire Whitman with a mustache.
And I'm James Reed with a mustache. We're breaking down some shocking new developments in our government.
Our team's coming to you live, covering the Kansas-Nebraska Act and how popular sovereignty coincides, as well as 2 special interviews we will discuss later in today's show.
Indeed we are. Everything from politics to people is a growing dumpster fire. The country is split right down the middle.
Maya is on site with local opinion. Down to you, Maya.
Thank you, Clara. A lot has happened over here over the Kansas-Nebraska Act, and the people are not pleased one bit. The people are split. Some say the matter of slavery in the territory should be voted on by the people. Others disagree. I'm here with 2 townsfolk, Eli Horseman and Steve Harvett. What are your thoughts on the Kansas-Nebraska Act?
Honestly, this act feels like a step backward. Slavery shouldn't be decided by the people. They'll swing the votes with their loud voices and big crowds. It's wrong.
Steve?
People deserve the right to choose for themselves. That's what democracy is. If people want slavery, then let them have it.
But that means people just rush in and control the vote. That's not fair.
Life ain't fair. That's reality. Oh, come on.
As you can see, it's getting rather heated here. Back to you at the desk.
Thank you, Maya. We come to learn that with the Kansas-Nebraska Act coming into effect, not only has the long-used Missouri Compromise been repealed, but also blood has been shed.
That's right, Claire. The Kansas-Nebraska Act has stirred up much chaos among the people of America, to the point where the once united territory is split into 2. But what is to blame for this crisis? Well, according to our sources, on January 4th, 1854, longtime Senator Stephen Douglas proposed a bill allowing the people to decide through popular sovereignty whether to become a free state or a slave state. The Senate voted on the bill. The vote ended with a 37-14 saying that the bill should be passed. On May 39th, 1854, the bill would become law.
Wow, James. With the Kansas-Nebraska Act now law, violent uprisings have begun in the territories, most notably the uprising known as Bleeding Kansas. We will have Maya live on the scene in just a few minutes, but first, our one-on-one interview with the world-famous author, Harriet Beecher Stowe. We now have a special guest interview with inspiring author, Harriet Beecher Stowe. Her novel, Uncle Tom's Cabin, has inspired Americans and foreign nations alike on their views of slavery. Welcome, Ms. Stowe.
Thank you for having me.
How do you feel about what's happening in our country?
It's heartbreaking to see human beings being treated like inferior creatures. It goes against what we stand for as Americans. Stories can move hearts, but actions must follow. I wrote Uncle Tom's Cabin to highlight the truth about the brutality of slavery. For our country to be free, everyone needs to be free.
Do you think literature can truly change the nation?
Absolutely. It can open our eyes to things that we wouldn't have seen before. My book has sold over 300,000 copies in its first year on the market alone. I've sold hundreds of thousands of copies since the book's publication in 1850. My book made Britons realize how gruesome the slavery system is in the South. This inevitably caused them to limit trade with Southern shipping companies. Once the people see what really happens behind the scenes, they can't ignore the injustice in our society.
What are your feelings about mockery pieces such as Mary H. Eastman's Aunt Phyllis's Cabin?
The piece was intentionally created to portray slavery as a more morally superior way of living. The mere novel was designed to prove that Southern life is humane. This is utterly despicable as a Christian woman.
Thank you for your time, Ms. Stowe.
Happy to be able to spread the word of the abolitionists movement.
With this new insight, we can infer that Uncle Tom's Cabin is a literary piece that inspired not just the nation, but the entire world.
Now we are moving on to our next segment, Bleeding Kansas. Back to you, Maya.
Hello, JJN. I'm Maya Brooks, live with you from the war zone that is widely becoming known as Bleeding Kansas. Behind me, the pro-slavery and free soilers can be seen fighting each other with not only their words, but their hands. Blood has been shed and some people have even died in the violent clash. We have learned that currently close to 50 to 60 people have already been killed in the violence. Hello, sir. Can you tell me why this fighting has started?
I don't remember exactly when the fighting began. Probably sometime in 1854, but I can tell you why it began.
Why did it begin?
Well, it's because of that Kansas-Nebraska Act becoming law. The people just can't agree with one another on whether this here territory is pro-slavery. And while half these people aren't even meant to be here, majority flooded in when the territory was taken vote for it to be slave or not. Now we got a battle on our hands.
As you may already know, the territory is now separated into two. How did that come to be?
When the people just started to flood in to vote, the pro-slavery and free soilers couldn't let the others win, so we split. Free soilers made their own government and pro-slavery people made theirs. In turn, two territories with two different views.
Do you think that the violence could have been avoidable?
I don't. I knew we were going to have a battle on our hands as soon as the law passed.
Well, thank you, sir. Well, JNN, you heard it live. The territory of Kansas-Nebraska has now officially been separated. And the cause for this violence is over the issue of slavery. With this conflict being unavoidable and the amount of deaths already, how many more details will there be? How many more deaths? What bigger is coming? When will it end? Well, back to you at JNN Studios.
You want to see some real war? There it is, boys!
Back to you at JNN Studios.
Well, thank you, Maya, for that on-the-scene coverage. We now move on to our latest segment of the show. Would you all please give a warm welcome to our president, Franklin Pierce. Woo, woo, woo!
Thank you, Mr. President, for joining us for the show.
No, thank you for having me today.
So, President Pierce, as you may know, the Kansas-Nebraska Act has disunited the territory of Kansas-Nebraska. Did you ever think that this chaos would unfold due to this act?
Well, Clara, as unfortunate as this chaos is, it is my humble opinion that with this chaos comes a union that is stronger than ever, especially since the act was based in a system that the United States is built on.
What is this system?
Democracy, of course, but it appears that the people are having a hard time using it.
You said that the Kansas-Nebraska Act is based in democracy, but we've heard that the act uses popular sovereignty. What is popular sovereignty? Is it like democracy in any way?
James, popular sovereignty and democracy mean the people ultimately hold the power. Popular sovereignty is democracy's foundational principle, while democracy is nothing more than the structure for our people to exercise their sovereignty. It is the why to democracy. Asserting the government's authority comes from our people, not above them. We believe that with popular sovereignty comes a prevention of further sectional strife.
This act would have never become law if you never signed it. Why did you sign it?
I signed it into law with the interest of the people in mind. I wanted the people to decide whether or not they wanted slavery in their territories. If I knew the people of my country would begin to fight against one another, I would have vetoed it as it went across my desk. And I would hope that my Senate would allow it to die as well. I do love the idea of popular sovereignty, but not when my people fight over it.
Mr. President, some say that you were pressured into signing this act. Were you?
Well, as a matter of fact, I was. It was actually Senator Douglas who pressured me into signing it into law.
Wow, Ms. President, thank you for your honesty. I do need to know your thoughts on Bleeding Kansas.
My people are at war with each other over the issue of slavery. Unnecessary blood is being shed by the citizens of the United States. So many lives have been lost because of the violence, and it needs to be stopped.
Well, Mr. President Pierce, that's all we have. Thank you for joining us for this interview.
Thank you, James, for inviting me.
What a wonderful interview with the president you had there.
Indeed, James.
In recap, we've got new laws, angry voters, and physical conflict.
And voices like Stowe pushing for moral change, while political leaders, like our very own President Pierce, defend their choices. The events show how decisions made in Congress can affect the way the entire country functions.
And how the nation is moving closer to a much larger conflict.
That's all for tonight. I'm Claire Whitman.
And I'm James Reed.
Thank you for tuning in to Jenkins News Network. And now, for a special moment of silence for our former Secretary of State, Henry Clay.